Welcome back to my dark corner of this sick world. If you don't subscribe, you will miss stuff.
I know. I goofed.
We're looking at the Yesterday Machine. Actually, I don't know what I'm looking at. Howie and Margie break down in the middle of nowhere.
Boy, this is like Lostville.
That's the 1960s version of Lost. Still ends disappointingly. Going for help, they encounter something.
Hold it right there, both of them.
That we're not privy to.
Hey, now, don't point that thing at us. It could go off. Honey, do as I tell you.
You kids go ahead. We'll just stand here with our fingers in our ears while you make a plan.
Quick, don't let him get away.
Which is basically run for it. Doesn't go well. Howie is taken to hospital, but Margie has disappeared, catching the interest of reporter Jim Crandall, a typical B-movie hero.
The accounting department is certainly coming up with much more interesting figures lately.
Jackass.
Hello, blonde girl.
He gets the other half of the story from Howie's doctor, because that confidentiality thing is really more of a guideline.
I said hold it right there.
Howie and Margie were accosted by men dressed in Civil War costumes. Weird, but not as weird as the bullet that's pulled out of Howie.
I don't know if you're aware of it, Jim, but my hobby is American military history.
I also enjoy paragliding and the movies of Jim Belushi.
I collect historical military objects like some men collect stamps.
I keep them in this drawer, just in case I need to back up a plot contrivance.
It was one just like the one you're holding now that I took out of young Ellison's body and gave to the police this evening.
Jim talks to the cops, keeping his feet on the ground.
I think there's a logical explanation to everything.
What's the police perspective?
Well, it's spooky. Reminds me of something that happened in Germany in 1945 towards the end of the war.
His squad liberated a concentration camp run by a Dr. Von Hauser.
And inside, amidst the rubble and blown into a million pieces, was the screwiest piece of machinery I've ever seen.
Quite a long story.
Buried underneath it amidst the rubble, still strapped to a table, was an old man. Just barely alive. According to those records, that old man should have been an 18-year-old boy.
Remarkable story. Doesn't immediately remind me of Civil War soldiers and a missing girl.
But just suppose, for the sake of argument, the Ellison kid did see two men out of the past of 100 years ago. That would mean somebody around here is tampering with time.
Just for the sake of argument.
Somebody was also tampering with time in that concentration camp.
That is a long way round to a very tenuous link.
You think that the machine found in that concentration camp was some kind of time machine, and that there may be another one like it around here.
Remember, there's a logical explanation for everything.
They never found Von Hauser.
I expect he's behind this. Jim hooks up with Margie's sister, Sandy, who is a singer at a local club.
I wanna be by myself when I cry.
Everyone says how great the 60s were. I think they've been overhyped. They search the area where Margie disappeared and... Unsure what's happened, they head back, but find their car has gone.
This isn't where we left it.
Logical explanation?
This is where we left it, all right.
But Jim thinks otherwise.
But it looks different here. There are more trees than there were before.
Does feel like you're in the wrong place.
This road was paved, and now it's dirt. And there isn't a telephone pole in sight.
Really feels like you're in the wrong place.
Jim, we're lost.
I don't think so. At least, not the way you mean.
I feel a conclusion is about to be jumped to.
But somehow we've been set back in time.
The stuff men will make up rather than admit they're lost.
Where are we?
Witchcraft! Witchcraft!
Okay, fair enough. Sandy panics.
Tell me what's happening.
Sandy.
What's going on? What dreadful thing
Sandy.
is happening? Tell me.
Ah, the 60s.
I believe our best bet is to follow this road and see where it leads.
Not sure how wandering off is supposed to help, but when they stop to rest... I have no idea where they are or when, but neither do they.
What time is this? What century are we in?
Does it matter, my friend?
Who's this?
I am Dr. Ernest Von Hauser.
These are two of my assistants.
Making the detective's powers of guesswork actually more impressive than the time travel. He spent the last 20 years perfecting the weapon that would have won Hitler the war.
That was a humiliation which will soon be avenged, Mr. Crandall. Die Arme, bringen Sie Fräulein de Maat zu ihrer Schwester.
So far, all he's done is bring one ancient Egyptian maid into the present, but you've got to start somewhere. Just in case we haven't realised that he's the bad guy, he spends 4 minutes eulogising Hitler.
He was a great genius, ahead of his time. The world in its ignorance was not ready to accept him.
Then spends the next 7 minutes explaining his theory of time travel.
This line represents the world. With a line here to represent the equator. If the velocity of ordinary light, represented by this arrow, should be accelerated, then it will pass beyond the instant, represented by this vertical line, and no longer be moving in the direction of the future, but it will be moving in the direction of the past.
And our science advisor will now spend the next 7 seconds explaining his explanation. Dad, if you travel fast enough, will you go into the past?
Almost the opposite. If you travel very fast, your time will go slower than someone who hasn't moved. So you will have appeared to them to have travelled into their future.
For a more detailed debunking, join us on Patreon. Sandy has already been locked up with Margie because, really, where's the point in explaining science to a woman?
Well, try to get some rest while I do some thinking.
Jackass. But Von Hauser's not done with them yet.
Don't let him take me! Turn her loose! Let's go!
Now, in fairness, she was panicking, but as we have observed in the past, he used the bad guy's backhand.
Turn her loose! Let's go!
Hero,
Tell me!
open palm. Margie is dragged off for more experiments.
And if something should go wrong, it will happen so quickly, you'll never feel a thing.
Fortunately, Egyptian maid Didi Armour decides to help.
Stay away from me.
However,
Sandy!
are you gonna help her?
Sandy, can you hear me?
She doesn't.
Sandy, honey, thank God you're safe.
And no one we cared about was hurt.
Oh, Jim, it was awful. He strangled her.
Why do bad things always happen to me? After rescuing Margie, Jim puts Von Hauser in his place.
That should cut down on your time travel, my good doctor.
Now send us home. Luckily, and it is entirely by luck, they are located underground where and when they started. And the detective is already there.
Von Hauser's headquarters must be around here somewhere.
Having apparently convinced the department that this is all tied up in his old war stories and time travel.
I've heard some screwy ones in my time, but this one takes the prize.
This is a very low-budget film, but almost nothing that's wrong with it is anything to do with budget.
Listen, the way I figure is like this. Sooner or later, some other joker is going to invent a machine just like it. Maybe by then the world will be ready for it.
Thanks for watching. Please join us on Patreon for more on time travel. Von Hauser's first instinct on creating a time machine was hijack ancient Egyptian maid. What would you do? Let us know in the comments below.
It's too bad, Mr. Crandall, that you are not interested in science.